From the Red River Farm Network Crop Tour presented by Pioneer, I'm Randy Koenen, visiting with Neil Fanta with Elite Ag Solutions. We're here north of Tappen, North Dakota, and an irrigated field here. And this doesn't look too far from normal, but you still got behind even running pivots on this.
Yep, it was just I think we'll have maybe a little below average crop just because we couldn't get the amount of water on and just the extreme heat. It was hard to keep up.
It was the heat that probably the biggest thing, huh?
Yeah, it was very much. We just couldn't, 90 days, 90 degrees several days in a row and just couldn't keep up all the time.
Yeah. With that heat, how was pollination?
Well, actually, I was really impressed how the pollination is in this field and most of the irrigated fields. I guess we must have kept up good enough to do a good job of pollination. So
Sure.
That's good.
When you're running the pivots, you're putting fertilizer, everything out through the pivots, I guess, as each trip across the field is a little bit different. Does the rainfall make a difference into when and if you get that?
It does. This year we had absolutely basically nothing when we normally put on our fertilizer for natural rainfall. So that made a big difference because normally we'll put on some nitrogen and then we'll get a rain, and this year we had to try to keep up with the irrigator to get that water on, and that was really tough.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the corn we're standing in front of here.
I think this is 9211. This is a newer Pioneer hybrid. We've got quite a few impact plot in here, and this is one of our newer ones, and it looks really, really good.
Yeah. Any tip back at all? Anything look pretty good?
I did notice in the plot there's a few of the earlier day hybrids that got a little tip back. The later day ones seem to be just fine. So.
Yep. Anything jump out at you?
Not really. I guess I guess I do see the difference in hybrids a lot more this year as far as drought tolerance. Something that maybe on a pivot you normally don't see, but we're seeing it in here this year.
I was going to say a dry year or drought year. Maybe a better way to say it is probably the extreme years, whether it's too wet or too dry. You always learn something, in these plots.
Yes, definitely. It's very interesting to see the differences in the different years, and so we've seen wet, and now we've seen dry. So there's a lot of things that we've learned on the hybrids in the last couple of years.
Coming into fall here now with harvest and everything starting to mature. As far as maturity, where are we at?
Well, we're starting to dent pretty good in some places. This field's a little further behind. Had some hail early, so we're a little bit further behind in this one. But we've got a lot of corn that is denting, and so as far as maturity, we're sitting pretty normal actually on the irrigated. Some of the dry land is different because of the stresses and things like that. Some is a little further behind.
What is that dry land corn looking like?
Well, it just depends on the soil. Good soils look not too bad. The tougher soils look really rough. There's been a lot of silage cut in the area. Some of the tougher soils have been already, cut. There's a lot going to happen yet, just because it's just not great.
Yeah, it's all about, especially with the lack of feed around the area for the area cattle guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's gonna help the cattle guys. I guess that some of the grain farmers are gonna let that corn go for feed, and it's kind of nice. It's gonna help them out.
Yep. How are the other crops looking?
Well, everything. The beans, I was really surprised. They've done pretty well through the drought. Surprisingly, they seem to be filling. I think we're going to be, the yield's not going to be as good. There's not as many pods on there, but I think it's going to be okay now with the rain that we just received not too long ago.
Yep. How were the small grains?
Same thing. Not great. Some good ground did fairly well. Poorer ground was really tough. Canola was actually, there's some really good canola reports, and then some that weren't very good. So it just depends on the soil.
Sure. Looking at next year, then, as far as looking into seed sales, what do you tell guys this year when you come off this drought year? Is there something that they need to be thinking about more than another?
Well, I guess we're looking at the beans, how well they're taking the drought. I mean, a lot of guys are looking at that. If we're going to be dry again, I mean, they're doing well. They're taking the drought well. The other thing is fertilizer price is just crazy. And so a lot of guys are right now looking pretty strongly at beans.
Yeah, it makes sense. A little less input cost.
Yep, definitely a lot cheaper to grow. Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Not really. I guess it's just been a really interesting year, and it's been, we went from in 19 really wet and now really dry, and so we've had a lot of challenges and different things as far as the seed agency that we've been trying to help our growers through, but it's just been a different year, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Neil Fanta with Elite Ag Solutions. I had to look at the cap there for the logo because I don't remember that sometimes. But anyway, from the Red River Farm Network crop tour presented by Pioneer, I'm Randy Koenen.